Yeah. So I'm Matt. More of you probably in the room know me as Wobbles, the Wobbly Gamer. This is my talk through wobbly eyes. I like to start with this because it's not going to be your normal presentation. To quote Chloe, I am like an excited puppy when I get to public speak. I am all over the place. I go on tangents, but I am today hopefully not going to go on a tangent because I had to cut 15 minutes of this talk, which was so easy. So who am I? Quite a lot of you in the room might know me. Quite a lot in the room probably don't. I am the Wobbly Gamer. I am a gamer, visually impaired content creator, accessibility consultant, disability advocate, streamer, and husband and dad. I like to put the bit in at the bottom just because I'm a human being, and I talk a lot about someone in this presentation who goes by the name of Taz. That is my 7-year-old little boy. He has got being diagnosed currently for ADHD, and my stream community nicknamed him Taz because he doesn't stop. So I am quite literally the Wobbly Gamer. Mother Wobbles, as we refer to her, caught a Pseudomonas infection while pregnant with myself. So Pseudomonas infection is a disease in the mother, not the baby, but it stops the baby developing inside the womb. I was born fully blind, paralyzed down my left-hand side and underdeveloped. It was 7 days until I got the diagnosis, and it was a shock. At that point, the NHS isn't in the place it is now, and my mum and dad were told to put me in care because I was going to be, excuse the quote, a vegetable in a wheelchair. And that was only, what, 30 years ago? So as you can see down there, I've got fully functioning left-hand side, I've got a good level of usable vision, and I have developed a condition called nystagmus. Nystagmus affects the nerves in the brain. It's a form of brain damage. It causes my pupils to wobble uncontrollably. 1 in 1,000 people have this condition, and I have got one of the greatest side effects that not many people with that condition have, and that is called head shaking nystagmus. My head literally shakes. It wobbles, it doesn't stop except when I'm asleep. I am quite literally, as I say here, I am a Wobbly Gamer. I have never done anything differently, never known any different. It's part of me, I've embraced it. It's my life and it's me. That's all I ever say about it. I went through mainstream school. I did everything, worked in hospitality, had 15 years in hospitality, worked my way up from kitchen porter to restaurant manager to hotel manager. And then to, excuse my French, I swear a lot, shit went south. I found out in 2017 I was losing my usable vision. I went to a doctor's or the opticians and went, I'm struggling to see the computer at work. Okay, we'll go send you to a neurologist, and then because that's all to do with the brain scans later, and there's still no answer. All they know is my vision's getting worse. You sit in a room with a bloke in a lab coat, and he goes, you could eventually end up blind. You might not. It could be in 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, or never. You could still have some usable vision on the day you die, but you won't know. At this point, I just got to the pinnacle of my career, restaurant manager, pushing for a Michelin star. I had a 7-month-old little boy, Taz, and I left that hospital, and you feel absolutely devastated because you don't know what to expect. I want to watch my little boy grow up. I just got married, and then I walked out and went, oh God, how am I going to play FIFA? And it's funny, you can laugh. People think I'm absolutely mad because I had all that going on, and one of my first thoughts was, how will I be able to play FIFA? FIFA at that point was my social life. I'd worked 80-hour weeks in hotels or restaurants. When I wasn't working or with my little boy, I was playing pro clubs with my friends, screaming at 2 o'clock in the morning. It was my social life. It was my getaway. As most people in this room that game know, that's what most of us use it for, escapism. But for me, it was more than that. I'd gamed for a child from 5 years old through till now. It's all I ever did. Gaming and football was my life. It was my passion. I never got drunk in a park on cider. I was too busy playing pro clubs. It was everything to me, everything. And it broke my heart thinking that I couldn't play games with my friends, but not just my friends, my son. He is an avid gamer. He doesn't stop playing Fortnite. He lives, breathes, and sleeps Xbox. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. So I turned to my good old friend, social media, and found people, many of them sitting in this room right now. And I watched their content. I listened to them. I learned from them. And then I decided to tweet EA Sports and the community manager at Sports with what can only be described as a very unprofessional tweet. I wouldn't dream of doing it now, but it worked. He went, okay, let's chat. And I went, shit. Because I didn't really have a clue. I just played video games. I knew bits and bobs. And the person inside me went, right, you don't like looking like an idiot, so you're going to have to learn and see and educate yourself in accessibility. So when you get these opportunities, you can actually make a difference and you don't make a twat of yourself. And I did. As I say, I watched content and I learned, and I spent hours on the internet and just learning and playing games. Playing games became a different thing for me. It became research. I'd play a game and be like, oh my God, this is not accessible. Why is it not accessible? And educated myself, learning from others, and then decided that I was going to get made, or I was going to leave hospitality and work in the family sector. And I was a family support worker for a sight loss charity. And I played games as a child. And this is where it really drove home the difference I could make. I was just awed at the amount of people that couldn't play games, children that were obsessed with Pokemon, having to go to school and tell their friends that they couldn't actually play the latest Pokemon game because the text size was too small. I wanted to be able to play games with my son. There's other people in the room here that I know want to be able to play certain games, but they can't because they're not accessible. And to me, I had the support network that understood, I had friends that gamed, and I want to be able to play the same game with my friends and not feel like a burden or get carried on PUBG or Apex or whatever. I want to be level. It's a level playing field. That's what I want. This time last year, I got made redundant. I lost my job in the charity sector. I was like, what am I going to do now? Didn't have a clue. Was very much lost because I didn't know what to do, because working in hospitality really only gives you hospitality experience. I didn't have any bits of paper. I didn't have any qualifications in anything other than hospitality. And it sounds like a really crap superhero arc, but my wife at the time was like, why don't you become the Wobbly Gamer? And we did. I went full time, took the risk, and in the space of a year, lots has happened. I've worked with many of the people in the room today, but there's lots of things that I've done as well alongside that. I'm volunteering with the RNIB alongside Sightless Combat and a couple of people in the room. We have a Discord that has got 60 plus visually impaired gamers, and we brought gamers together. We brought visually impaired gamers together on a regular basis to talk about video games, to chat about video games. They now have D&D nights. It's turned into a community. It's a safe community on the internet for visually impaired gamers. And myself and a couple of people in this room have created that. And it's something that I think they should be proud of that's helped me do it. I attended Disability Expo 2023 and was there part of their gaming zone. And there was a moment at this that I wish I could have a video of and show every person that's ever worked in the games industry. And it was a young girl with cerebral palsy. And she had no realization she could play video games. Her mum and dad didn't realize she could do it. And using adaptive equipment there at the event that was there, we got to play in Paw Patrol, the racing game. And I've never seen a room full of people, grown men, all crying their eyes out because of how excited this little girl got at the prospect of actually being able to play a video game. And it's down to the work that everyone in this room does. And it's really drummed it home for me that this is not just making games accessible, it's making a hell of a difference to someone. And for me, that's what it was all about. I realized I could make a difference through many different ways. I stream on Twitch, that lovely bunch of people there you can see, where I stood outside a very grotty nightclub in Manchester at an event we all met at this year. We'd gamed frequently for the last year playing PUBG, and they made PUBG accessible to me because it was a game I gave up due to a lack of accessibility. They've embraced it. They've not once gone to me at all, you're a burden, or oh, you did awful in that game. And I'm like, yeah, it's because I can't see, funnily enough. But they've never been like that. It's not been an issue. And people like that, backing content creators like myself, they now take that role, the accessibility work into their role. One of them's a web developer that now uses accessibility, and he never did that before meeting me. And things like that. You can make a difference in many different factors as an accessibility consultant and advocate without actually realizing it. So that's enough about me. So that's kind of my arc, as you could say. And here I am now. It's been a whirlwind, and without people in the room here, it wouldn't have been possible for me. And just thank you. So this is kind of a cliche of mine. I've got a bit of a reputation. If you haven't already noticed in the Discord, text size. Yeah. So these are just some of the bits that I find most helpful with gaming myself. So it's accessibility for me. Text size is the top of that list. I'd spend hours rambling about text size. I got recognized EGX as the bloke that talks about text size on Twitter. It's phenomenal. Make it customizable. Make anything customizable. Customization is key. There is 5 visually impaired people in the room that I know of, and each person in the room with that vision impairment has a different condition, and each of us has different needs, but we all fit under the partially sighted or visually impaired bracket. But every single one of us, I can tell you now, has different accessibility needs. So customization is key, and specifically for me, text size. A lot of games you spend most of your time reading. And for someone that suffers from eye strain, if you don't make that text accessible, for me, I can't play your games for as long as I'd like to put it bluntly. It's about everything, the size, background opacity, font, even the spacing. If your font looks good and it's not that accessible, space it out a little bit. There's little things you can do that aren't obvious and in your face, but they make such a difference. Customization for text for me is king. It's as I know, if you've seen it in the Discord, I've got a reputation for moaning about text size in video games. It's a really boring reputation, but for me, it's huge. It is massive. HUDs. I don't like to throw games under the bus. That's not my style, but that is a game there with all the accessibility settings on. As you can see, still not very accessible. HUDs are your information. It's your key vital points when you're playing video games. You need that information present and accessible. On the other side, there's 2 nice HUDs. We've got Assassin's Creed Mirage from Ubisoft. As you can see, it's got very good opacity. The icons are good. It's customizable as well. It's everything you can turn on, off, make darker, make brighter. It's a great example for me of an accessible HUD for a visually impaired person. It gives all the key information in an accessible way. The text is also lovely, which I will point out. It just makes it so much easier. If you make your games accessible, we can play them for longer. And that's what it's about. At the end of the day, we all want to be able to game together. We all want to be able to play games with each other. And without these settings, we can't. And it is down to something. So the difference between being able to play your game and not can sometimes be something as simple as putting an opacity change up on the compass at the top of the screen in a first-person shooter, or adding an opacity text box behind it on the HUD, so that text is then clear, concise, and easy to read. Halo underneath. It's a game I played for hours as a child, and I love first-person shooters, but one of the reasons was the armor colors were different. They're clear. It's not, everyone hasn't got a nice shiny, if you played most video games, everyone's running around in black SWAT uniforms, and I can't see half of them. Halo, one team's bright blue, one team's bright red, and you can even customize that these days, and it's phenomenal. It makes such a difference, and I don't ever think it was done as an accessibility thing, because Halo's always been blue team, red team, and it works. It enabled me to play that game for hours as a child. Ping systems. Ping is king, as we said yesterday. This one's quite an unusual one. Not many people would put it down to someone having a visual impairment saying they like a ping system. For me, I spend a lot of time playing first-person shooters, and my friends saying, he's over there, and I will respond, where? Because you make very pretty looking games, but they're not always accessible, because you do nice backdrops and then someone's running around in camouflage, and I haven't got a hope in hell's chance of seeing them. But with a ping system, it reduces the field of vision for me. It reduces the field of vision for a lot of people. You can instantaneously locate the ping system if it's accessible, and you can then be in the fight for as long as possible, or you need a key bit of information to convolute to whatever. Ping systems are phenomenal for people with a visual impairment because it reduces the amount of time they need to look for something. It gives them a clear, concise position and location to use their vision. High contrast. This is something that Ian touched on yesterday. The advancement of it has been massive. And these are two examples of it from older games that I still like to talk about now. I don't know if any of you remember or played Mirror's Edge. I was talking about this yesterday to someone. It was a game I played hours of as a child, and I never worked out why, because it's not my normal cup of tea, to put it bluntly. It's a game that I adored. And as an adult and being in the accessibility and like seeing now, I've realized it's because it's accessible. Everything was white and everything you needed to look at or locate was bright red. It was accidental accessibility. It was great. And it's all down to high contrast. Assassin's Creed is another game I play a lot of, and Eagle Vision opened my eyes to a whole new world inside a video game because it made it accessible. I spend all the time playing Assassin's Creed clicking in the right stick because it just makes the game high contrast for 30 seconds at a time. And at 26 years old, I remember doing it. I had to go into the kitchen on a game and ask my wife to help me find a key in a video game. And I was like, I've gamed for this point for 21 years. And I have to go into the kitchen where my wife's cooking our dinner, go in there and go, I'm really sorry to interrupt you. You're looking after the child, but I can't find a key in a video game. And you can imagine the response I got. It was quite colourful. But Assassin's Creed, I never had that problem because I'd click the right stick in. The room turns black, the key floats bright and yellow or gold or red. And then it's the same in combat situations. Spider-Man 2 added the toggle, and I adore that setting because you can toggle the combat to high contrast instantaneously. And it doesn't affect the immersiveness because you can switch it on in combat and switch it off for other things. You can switch it on instantaneously. Again, you fight a lot of guys in that game that are all wearing camouflage outfits. And at the same time, you've got policemen that are wearing black uniforms. And it does stop me from punching policemen in the face of Spider-Man. It works really well and it makes such a difference. And just, Ian touched on it, high contrast is getting so good, but it's so key for visually impaired gamers. It enables us to not have to go into the kitchen and ask our wife to help us find a key on a video game. And yeah, it's funny, but at the same time, it's also a little bit degrading when you just want to be able to play the games and not have to ask for that assistance. Full screen effects. Something, again, I'm a bit of an FPS nerd, if you hadn't noticed. I love my first person shooter games, and every single one of them has flashbangs. There is a video normally leads to this that's got the flashbang video, to put it bluntly, of me getting flashbanged in a video game by my friends because they find it funny because you see what happens. It's like someone's just run in my front room and flashbanged me because I sit so close to the screen, my nose is touching it. I can't really game in a snapback because my snapback gets in the way. That's how close I sit to the screen. And when you're flashbanged in that setting, it's like someone chucked a flashbang in your setup. The screen goes white. And for myself with a visual impairment, it absolutely destroys me. It takes me out of the game for a minute because I need to refocus, get my eyes to refocus, and it disorientates, can lead to headaches, not just that, seizures as well. It's not just a vision impairment thing, it can lead to so many issues. But recently, we've seen it in a couple of games, but this is from XDefiant, which is Ubisoft's latest FPS video. You can't hear it. I'm in a fight, get 2 or 3 kills, and I get flashed. Screen goes black.
Oh, do you know what I do like? The flashbang setting.
If that was to go white, I would be out of the fight for 30 seconds. I'd have to turn my head away from the monitor to readjust my focus, to just get my eyes back to a level of using them because I end up with white dots. It destroys me. And in a game like XDefiant or Call of Duty, which I've got it now, that 30 seconds is vital. It's the difference between winning the game or dying or losing. And it makes such a difference. And it also stops me getting migraines. It also stops people having seizures. And it is I would say, such a simple setting to turn something from flashing white to black. And XDefiant have done it, and Call of Duty have done it. And it's 2 great examples of accessibility in action and actually making such a difference. This isn't everything inside accessibility. We all know that. There's lots and lots and lots that can be done and be changed and be made customizable. Button remapping, menu narration, navigation assistance, tutorials, game speed, everything comes under accessibility. And the difference is huge for someone that can play your games or not. I like to talk about this game quite frequently. It's a game that got slaughtered on social media, on everywhere, because it just wasn't a great game. But do you know what it did have? It had really good accessibility settings. And I sing about it and people are like, how do you the only person in the world that's probably still talking about this game? And I'm like, yeah, but it was a step forward for that game, that style, that company. They changed it. They made it accessible. They had accessibility settings that weren't in previous titles from them. And yeah, the game wasn't great, but it was a massive step forward in the right direction. And for me, I'm a massive advocate of every step forward is huge and should be considered a win. We, as gamers in this room, know the pressure you developers are under. It's not easy, and you get a lot of stick from other communities about this, about games and not having a level of understanding. But for me, and I know a few others in the room would probably echo my opinions, that every accessibility setting you add, every difference you make is huge, and you should consider it a win. It's, if one more person can play your game because of an accessibility setting you've added, you should be able to hold your head up high and say, I'm proud of what I've done, because you've made a difference. And you might not ever realize it. You might not see that girl at Disability Expo get so excited about playing Paw Patrol. You might not see the difference it makes to someone like me being able to play PUBG for 17 hours on my mate straight and still be able to see at the end of it. But it's like I say, every time you make a difference in a video game, please consider it a win. It's huge. The difference is monumental. And I have no idea how long that was. So I really am hoping that was on time. I did say it was going to be chaotic. Again, thank you. If you've got any questions, please hit me up in the Discord. I'm on every form of social media. I'm just look for the Wobbly Gamer. You'll find me. But yeah, thank you guys.